For today's video, I'm going to go over the builder pattern. This is a pattern that's going to help construct complex objects step by step with a fluent interface. When we go through the example, it will just make it more clear and understandable what this means specifically. If we look at a problem, we might have some widget or component that has a ton of these different arguments. These arguments might have one for the height, for the text color, and you're not sure which one's which. We have a center argument. You don't know if it's the font or an alignment. If we look at the constructor of this, and we're adding on more and more parameters, we can already see that this just overcomplicates this entire construction of this object. The biggest thing that we're already seeing is that we're putting all of these arguments into one individual constructor, or you have to kind of scatter the configuration across multiple setters on the product itself without no clear completion point. So both of these is not a good idea. The giant constructor that we have above is hard to read and it's easy to miscall. The scattered setter approach also leaves a lot of objects in limbo. It's also configurable by anyone at any time. There is no gate or way that we could say, finish up and saying that this thing is done. So what we want to have is a readable, step-by-step construction protocol, a way to say, set the title, set the color, set the font, and now hand me the finished, ready-to-use object. This is what the builder does for us. The overview, the builder pattern is a creational design pattern from the Gang of Four. The Gang of Four's definition is, it separates the construction of a complex object from its representation so that the same construction process can create different representations. There are three very key ideas packed into that one sentence. So the first one we want to have is separation. Separation means the construction logic lives in the builder class. It's not in the product class. The product just holds the data. The builder will know how to assemble it. The second one, there's a step-by-step. Instead of just one monolithic constructor call, like that one big one that we had before, you build incrementally, one setter at a time. And the third one is there is a fluent interface. This means that every setter will return this, so you can chain calls to a single readable expression. We can see that this will call this build method, and then it will read more like a sentence, and then it will finalize construction and return the product. In our demo and example, we'll go over and we'll look at this in action. Here we have all the participants fitting together. The builder interface itself declares all the setter methods. These are all the construction this is all the construction contract. We have the concrete builder, that's the widget builder. This implements that contract and it acclimates settings on the internal widget object and adds a build method to deliver the finished project. The widget class is a product. It's a plain data class with the render method. And the dashboard builder will play a director-like role. It doesn't build the widget, but it collects and finishes ones and composes them into a dashboard layout. If we look at in the classic Gang of Four version, the director will drive the builder through a fixed sequence of steps. Here the client, so this is what we have like a for submit handler in the index Typescript, drives the builder directly by chaining the calls. That's a common real-world variant, and the director is either implicit or embedded in the client. First, let's look at the builder interface. Here we declare 7 methods. We have all of these setters: set title, set content, set color, set text align, set height, set text color, and set font. Every single one of these just returns this. This return type is the Fluent interface contract. So in Typescript, if we return this, it's more precise than returning the concrete class name. If you ever subclass this widget builder class, the return type automatically resolves to the subclass. It doesn't resolve to the parent. Your chain stays correctly typed through the full depth of the hierarchy. Next, we have the widget class, which is the product. This is a complex object we're constructing. It stores 7 private properties and exposes corresponding setter methods. But notice these setters are void. They don't return anything. The product is not Fluent, only the builder is. We want to look at the key method, it's render, which takes all the acclimated properties and produces an inline styled HTML string. It's just a div class with a background color, font, alignment, and height baked in. The clients should never construct a widget directly. It has no validation, no required field checks. The responsibility belongs to the builder and the client. Here we have the widget builder. This is the concrete builder that we have. It implements the builder interface. In its constructor, it creates a blank widget instance. Every setter delegates to that internal widget and then returns this. The critical addition is the build method. This method is not declared on the builder interface. It's exclusive to the concrete builder. Calling build signals, I'm done configuring this, give me the product. It returns the acclimated widget object. After build, the builder has served its purpose. We have one builder, one widget. If you need a second widget, you're going to have to create a new widget builder. And finally, we have the dashboard builder. This is the director-like role. It maintains an internal array of all the completed widgets. Widget products. We have an add widget, which pushes the widget and returns this for chaining. It has the build dashboard method. It maps over all the widgets, and it calls render on each one. And it joins the fragments, HTML fragments, into a single dashboard string. The separation here is clean, so the widget builder handles the individual widget construction, and the dashboard builder handles the layout composition. We have 2 of those responsibilities, and they're going to be in 2 of those classes. Here is the complete builder interface. Again, we have the 7 setters, all returning this. It's short and declarative. It says nothing about how to construct a widget, only what can be configured. Any class that implements this can be used whenever a builder is expected. Here is the widget builder. The constructor creates a fresh widget class. Each setter calls the corresponding method on the internal widget and returns this on it. The build method is the exit point. It returns the finished product. It's clean, predictable, and entirely mechanical. The builder's job is coordination, not computation. And here we have the index Typescript is where it all comes together. When a user submits the form, we read every single field and pipe those values directly into the Fluent builder chain. We create a new widget builder. Then we get the form title to the set content to the form content, all the way down, and then we build it. That single expression constructs the complete widget. Then we pass the dashboard builder add widget build dashboard, which renders all the acclimated widgets into the HTML and injects it into the DOM. The entire widget construction and dashboard updates in about 15 lines of just clean code. Here's the demo for the builder pattern. Here it's just going over the widget builder, how it builds this widget product, and as well as we have this dashboard builder that is basically able to contain all of these different widgets as well. Just to be a little bit more clear, going back to the beginning, the whole idea of this demo is we're building these components. We could just say sample and hello. We have these font families we can choose from. Like we can create a light gray, a navy background, and a center line. And then we add this widget here. We can do the same thing to another one. And from here, we can add another widget. And so we're adding these different widgets here. The dashboard builder is this dashboard, and each time we build the widget, we are using the widget builder. So on this side, all of this is just setting up the different DOMs here to the form. The form is this. The beginning part is not too important. Here's where it gets more important to understand, is where we build those widgets here. And that happens while we're instantiating it in this method, my function. I think my function is called at the window. So this will be called, I think, each time, or something like that, I think. Each time a widget is built through this, we use this widget builder right here. Before we had the set title, set content, set form, set color, build, clean input. What that means is from here, the builder is what we have here. This is just an interface that has all of these setters and getters, but instead of it being void, it just returns this to enable this kind of chaining together. So it will return whatever is implementing that interface. In this example here, when we had the widget builder implements the builder, we have the widget here that we've already created. So this is a widget that we are making. Each time those widgets are being set here on the widget builder, it creates this, it adds to that widget, but it also returns it to continue chaining it. This specifically means that to help understanding it, when we first created the widget builder, we have a widget that we started with. And all of these different methods, what's nice about the builder pattern is the order doesn't even matter. It doesn't make any difference which way that you have set these. It's just a way to kind of explicitly show that we are setting this to the widget itself. And looking at what we're setting on the widget, this is the properties that we want to define here. And this is just a regular, straightforward object, a Java object. It's like a POJO, where we have these instant variables, setter, we could have getters. They're not very important, but what is important here is that each time we set on the object, we are returning this. And what we're turning this to is we are turning the builder back to the chain itself. What that means is here we have this widget that we are starting with, nothing happens. Here we do the set title, go here, we set the title here. So on our instant variable for the widget, we set the title here, and then we return this. This doesn't mean returning the widget. We're returning the widget builder, but now it has the updated widget with the new title here, which is this one. So it continues on in this chain. We have this new widget builder here with the new title. We do set content. Hey, we go through here, set content. Now we have the widget with the new title here. We have it with the new set content here. Again, we are going to return this. We're returning the widget builder again, but this time it has a change in the title and the set content that has happened inside of the widget that's been inside the variable, if that makes sense. The only reason we do this is because we can continuously keep returning the same concrete builder. However, we can also, in that same way, be able to make modifications to the object. Once those steps have all been done, we can finalize it and we can actually return the object within, and that's through the build method here. And this is much more straightforward, much easier to read without having to have all the arguments and their positions. When we have this pattern here, we are able to see what we're setting here, what values we're using. Here we're using a form value, and the order here doesn't make a difference or matter once we have it built this way. So if we wanted to build the color before the title, that would be insignificant at all. Now from here, we have the dashboard builder, and the dashboard builder is what we have when we create all of these widgets. So each time we create a widget, we're adding that widget that we built here into our dashboard, which is an array of widgets that we kind of collect here. In a way, it's, like we said, a director like composer. So the dashboard builder just has all of those completed widget objects from the widget builder, and it contains them. In a way, this means that this has no relationship to building anything other than holding what's already been built from the widget builder. It's a good idea to think about it as we're creating this total separation here. The widget builder builds the widgets. These finished widgets just get passed here into the dashboard builder, and the dashboard builder does a completely separate thing. So if we wanted to add some logic here to the dashboard, we could do that. And if we wanted to add any changes to the widgets or the way they're built, we can add it here. But adding to one or the other won't have a drastic effect on the logic, since we have that decoupling here. And if we wanted to just continue adding to the widget too, we could do that here as well. Adding new variables, we could just add new methods into the builder as well. And so through all this, we're able to clearly define how we are building those objects. We're able to make it very clear how they're built. And we can also make sure that to simplify the complexity of construction and making sure that it's easier to construct them once we get to very complicated logic of building any sort of component or widget or anything that is incredibly complex. We want to use the builder when your object has many configurable or optional parts, especially when callers might set different combinations. You want to use it when you want to have a fluent API that guides construction step by step. You want to use it when you need to prevent a product from being built and maybe in an invalid intermediate state. We have the build method that kind of acts as this gate, and we want to use it when the same build steps could produce multiple product variants by just swapping in a different concrete builder. We want to not use the builder pattern if we have an object that has less than 3 properties. If an object is very simple, we just can use a constructor or we can use an options object. It's the most straightforward way that we can kind of build those objects or classes. If we think about the product is also simple and immutable, then this pattern might be even a bit more overhead or more complicated than we want. We could just use a factory function. It will be easier to write and easier to read. We want to also make sure we're not adding this builder pattern to kind of have this chaining aesthetic, being able to write all of these chains and having the build out for all the objects and all the components. It does look clean, but it adds a lot of classes. It adds this additional build process and indirection, and that only really pays off if the construction is quite complex. So if you don't have to use it, then it's probably advisable not to. Here are 3 analogies that might help the pattern make more sense. So if you think about the first one is a custom burger order. You don't hand the kitchen a pre-assembled burger. You have to explain you want this kind of bun, this patty, this sauce, this toppings one by one. The kitchen, the builder will assemble them step by step. And that's when the build method is when the kitchen wraps it up and then it hands it over to you. So until then, it's just a configuration and process. The second one is a SQL query builder. There are some frameworks or libraries. There's one called Connects.js, and that's when you just chain the select method, where method, join method, order by. So you have all of these different SQL type query parameters that you're making into methods. So you can kind of chain them together, and then once you have the execute, then that's when it will send the query out. And then the third one we have is an email composition. When you're drafting an email, you're adding recipients, you're writing the subject, you're writing the body, you're attaching the files. The email just exists as a draft. It's not sent as a message, so when you hit the build method, that's when you actually hit send. So before that, the product is not complete. So there are 2 patterns that can be easy to confuse with the builder. The first one we have is the factory method. This also creates objects, but it happens just in one shot. You call the factory, and then you immediately get back to fully formed product. The builder construction is incremental. So you use factory method when you know the variation is in which object type to create. You use the builder when the variation is in how the object is assembled. And then you also have the abstract factory. This one is when you create families of related objects. So there's a full set of coordinated components from a consistent theme or configuration. The builder constructs one complex object step by step. The 2 patterns can complement each other, so you can use a abstract factory to provide the right builder for the context, and then the builder would do the step-by-step assembly. In summary, the builder pattern separates the construction of a complex object from the object itself. The builder interface declares the Fluent setters. The widget class is the product that stores properties and renders itself. And then the widget builder implements the interface. It accumulates configurations on an internal widget and exposes the build method as the construction gate. The dashboard builder plays the director role. It composes multiple finished products into a final output. The whole pattern hinges on one small Typescript details. We have all the setters returning the this. That is what makes the Fluent chain possible. There's simple mechanics, but there's powerful results. If you want to go deeper, you can check out more in the Gang of 4, the Design Patterns book, which covers the builder pattern alongside all other creational patterns. You can also look into the this return type and the Fluent interfaces. And you can just check in my other videos that talk about the factory method and the abstract factory, as well as just running the demo within the repo or going into the description, checking out the site, and just playing out with the code and just seeing if you could just maybe add on a new variable or expand onto the builder. If this was helpful, if you can just like and comment and subscribe, that'd be useful for me. And I hope this is helpful. You can just let me know. And I'll just see you all next time. Thank you.